The Boundary Park Alert System is sponsored by Pendle New Tech, a family-run Lancashire business you can rely on for everything fire safety related, including supply and installation, maintenance, testing, certification, alarms, risk assessments, like I said, anything fire safety related. But what do I know? Visit pendlenewtech.com and they'll sort you right out. Check the show notes for more information.
This is a test of the Boundary Park Alert System.
Hello and welcome to the Boundary Park Alert System with me, Matt Dean, on this Mothering Sunday, although it's obviously Monday at the earliest that you're listening to this podcast. Andy's got his Sunday best on because you're going to be doing some Mothering Sunday stuff after the recording, I assume.
Yeah, I'm taking my wife for lunch at Rick Stein's restaurant in Barnes in southwest London with the kids. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Hey, listen, Andy, imagine when you were a kid in Droylsden, growing up, getting chippy dinners and stuff like that. Now you're taking your kids, what a different life they leave, eh?
I know, in Droylsden, for those that know it, it would have been Alan Po Fung's, which is the famous Chinese down five ways that way in Droylsden. Yeah.
Oh,
different now, yeah.
What an experience your boys are having, eh? Unbelievable. But that's all good. So we're here post Grimsby with a fan guest lined up in the wings. So let's crack on. I mean, there's all kinds of Mothering Sunday activities to be met, obligations to be met this morning. So we better crack on. So Andy, do your thing with a fan guest.
Well, this is a returning fan guest, but I don't think this fan guest has been on for. I reckon he might have come on in the very first season we did it, or the second. It was a long, long time ago. So I don't think we've ever asked the questions of this fan guest. So can you tell us, when was your first game, fan guest?
My first game was Norwich, 1991, 2-2 draw.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Do you know I was the mascot for that game?
Oh, really?
Yeah. You've got the programme, you'll see my mugshot in it.
Right, okay. Yeah. 1991.
Amazing. Who was your first favourite player?
Rick Oldham, without any shadow of a doubt. The hair, the style, I just loved how in every way he didn't look like a professional footballer, but was absolutely class. Rick Oldham.
Yeah, fantastic player. Really enjoyed watching him as well. What is your favourite ever away game?
I know there's like obvious choices over the years, but I'm going to go with my first away game at Wolves in 1996. We won 1-0.
Is that David Beresford?
No, Ian Olmenroyd scored with a header at the back post, looping header, great header. And I've picked that because I was 14. It was my first away game. Wolves is a great ground. But that feeling of being with the away support and getting a win was mega and has stayed with me ever since, really. I don't think there's anything like an away game when you win, and that the passion and the being with everyone is still great. Still love it.
Yeah. I can feel that. Good away day, Wolves, isn't it? And can you give us a little known fact about yourself?
So I had to think about this. Do you remember Bernie's? Bernie's used to be a baker's. There used to be a Greg's and a Bernie's. I don't know if you had them over in Droylsden, Andy, but they certainly had them in Oldham. And I won a cake once for being the 1,000th customer. And I walked in and I don't know what it was, 15, 16 or something. And an argument ensued between the staff member and an old dear who saw the cake and thought she could muscle in. And I just stood as like an innocent bystander watching this argument ensue between this old lady who I think wanted the cake. And the staff member took charge and said, no, he was our 1,000th customer. So, yeah, that's my little known fact. That's how rock and roll I am, by the way.
Oh, that's a nice little slice of history. I mean, wow, unbelievable. Counting their customers. Do you think that was like a thing, or do you think they made it up? I mean,
yeah. Because as soon as I walked in, she went, "Oh, here he is, here he is." So whether they had or not, or whether they just got bored at 500 and thought, "Oh, sack this. We'll just name someone in the next 5 minutes." Who knows?
Yeah. If anyone from the Bernie's team that was around at the time could clarify and show us the records, that would be fantastic.
Yeah.
Was it a big cake or a
It was
little
huge.
cake? A
It was
huge cake.
huge. Yeah. And I
Yeah.
did think of offering a slice, but
No. I mean, she would have just taken it to like a church group or something. Claimed she'd baked it for the vicar and all that. So that was her plan. So I'm glad you got it over her. That's good stuff. Yeah. What did you do with it, by the way? Did you have a party?
I was talking to my mum about this the other day, and she said, "Oh, I don't remember that." I said, "I think I brought it home and we all had it." But yeah, maybe we had a couple of slices and it rotted in the kitchen. Who knows?
Oh, well, there we go. That's a little piece for cake fans. That's that out of the way. Right. Who are you?
Chris Hargreaves.
Chris Hargreaves, also known as League One Forever on Oldham Blues. For those that frequent, you're a serial poster on there, aren't you? Probably one of the most frequent. Yeah.
Well, I mean, first of all, your moniker on there is way out of date, isn't it? Now after surgeons into the National League and League Two.
Yeah, when I joined, we'd had 17 years of finishing 17th, and there was a nice symmetry. So when I joined, I thought, "Oh, that's quite apt." Yeah. And then ever since I've joined, up until the last few years, it's looked increasingly out of date and quite silly. But I'm hoping that we'll come full circle and it'll look apt again.
I think what it does though is it is a nice little piece of history. It does. It's an emblem of that time, isn't it? Everyone who who was around and has been around knows what that means, and knows when you came up with that. So, it's not that distant a memory that it did seem like we'd be in League One forever. Yeah. But how things have changed. How things have changed. We have an eye on League One. Whether it's this season or next season that we really, really push into it. But yesterday, Grimsby Town at home. First thing I'd like to say is it was really nice to have a proper set of away fans at Boundary Park. You've got to give credit to Grimsby Town. Their fans travel really, really well for a club that is, not up to much in historical terms, but they're a really well supported club. We definitely could have sold them more tickets than what we allocated them. I believe it's on policing costs, isn't it? I think is the reason.
I think so,
which seems a bit mean that other teams such as Tranmere last week, frequently give us in excess of that. I don't know, why that is. I guess it's the club are under no obligation to offer any more than that, but it was still nice to see 1,500 of them packed into the Chaddy end. Yeah,
if you kind of look at the Chaddy end, like one bank of it now on the corner near the Joe Royal stand has got no seats in it, has it? I quite like the sort of tarpaulin sponsorship that they've sold along the bottom to generate some revenue. It makes it look neat and tidy, doesn't it? Tidies the place up a bit. The sort of that care and attention that you'd have never got from previous owners. I always notice and think that's great. But there's at least 3 banks of seats there they could have sold, couldn't they? And if those 3 banks of seats, you tot them up roughly 3,500, that stand holds, that's probably about 1,000 seats. At £20 a ticket, that's 20 bags of sand that they've just turned down. But so the 20 grand that they would have generated in revenue, plus maybe pie sales, drink sales, whatever on top, the policing and stewarding costs, I believe, would be in excess of that once you tip over a certain attendance in the ground. I mean, what you'd want there really is the club to be trying to have a conversation with Great Manchester Police to say, look, this isn't really that. This isn't great. Is there not some compromise we can get to here where we can keep the costs down so that we can generate some profit from the extra seat sales?
The only thing I think that's completely fair enough if it's not cost effective. The only thing I wonder about is why we don't put them on the bottom instead of the top.
Well, the reason we do that is we don't want them to influence the game as much. So there's some studies that I've been told this before. Actually, if you look at a lot of grounds nowadays, particularly the higher up the football pyramid you go, they stick them in the top tier or at the side. If you have away fans behind the goal, it helps them when they're attacking that goal, score goals, and so they stick them in the top tier, so they have less of an impact as being right behind the goal. That's what they're doing it for. But I do. To Matt's point is, if let's say Tranmere only sold 1,000 of the 2,000 seats that they've got in that cowshed stand last week, we'd be up in arms. We'd be absolutely up in arms about them not selling because we could sell it. And so I feel for Grimsby fans who wanted to travel. I don't think it's great or fair, but I understand the economics of it, which is why I think that people should be getting their heads together and trying to work out how they can. I mean, there was another thing I saw yesterday. There was someone who does travel in the grounds thing had said that he'd gone to Boundary Park yesterday and was in the Chaddy End with the Grimsby fans. And he said that as it's a sold out area, our stewards were saying sit where you want, so it's not allocated seating, just sit wherever you like. And so there were members of families that were separated, couldn't sit together. Because obviously, when you sit where you want, you're sitting where you want. And so there's single seats around, dotted about. I don't think that's a great experience for away supporters either. You sit where you want is I'm perfectly happy with that, but maybe you should open at least 2 banks of those seats at the front. Then, if you've got 1,500 fans in, there isn't just 1,500 seats for them to sit in. There's maybe 1,800 seats for them to sit in. So there's a bit of space for them to move around and sit where they want. Otherwise, you've got to go allocate seating. So I think the club probably need to have a little look at that as well, just to make sure the away fan experience is a bit better. And the other thing, of course, in the Chaddy End is catering's not great, is it? So I don't think it's a great deal of capacity. If they've got 400 there, it's not an issue. But if you've got 1,500 there, we haven't got enough kiosks there. They're not selling hot food. It's not a great experience for away fans. And I think that probably needs to be looked at if we want to encourage more away fans to come to Boundary Park.
Yeah, I guess there's people saying, well, we don't want to give the away fans a great experience and all that kind of stuff. But, it's all about, you want to be maximising the turnover. And I'd rather see Boundary Park full. If you know there's going to be more away fans, more of an atmosphere, it's probably going to be more home fans, and it's all good. But look, what a fantastic attendance for a League Two game. That attendance would have eclipsed many of our League One forever campaigns attendances. It was a brilliant attendance, and both clubs come out with a lot of credit for that. So let's get on to the match itself. We went into the game 7 points behind Grimsby, who are in 7th place. We played them twice now, not very impressive. Grimsby, that particularly for a club that we're sitting in that final playoff place. Our run apparently now is the second. We're in the second best form team in the country, which is quite
behind
impressive.
Who?
I'm not sure actually. I've only seen it knocking about that we're the second. I haven't actually seen the table. I would assume it's like Arsenal or someone like that. Yeah, but fantastic, really. And it wasn't a classic. It wasn't a classic game or a classic performance, but it all came down to a fantastic goal. And we're going to Tuesday now against Chesterfield, who are now 7th off the back of yesterday's results. They beat Notts County at their place. And we're chasing still. It's still on, as long as it's mathematically on. But how good was it yesterday, Chris, to see Latics come out of that game with the win? It was a really tight game. They hit the bar. It wasn't a nailed on victory by any stretch of the imagination, but just a bit of quality, one bit of quality, and we win the game 1-0. I mean, how good is it to see us starting to do that now?
100%. I've always been, I'm not really bothered about. I'm not a purist. I would like to see, I think most people would like to see a bit more possession football or expansive football. But ultimately, it's about winning. It's as simple as that. I'm quite pragmatic in that sense. How many managers have we had over the years where we knock it about lovely for the first 25 minutes and then we fade out the game and we lose 1-0. We've had that so many times with so many managers. So, I think it was a few weeks ago, I can't remember which one of you, but I think we were talking about a style under Mellon. And I think we do have a very definitive style under Mellon. I think I would characterise us that when we're doing well, which we are at the minute, I would call it ugly done well. It's physical, it's high press, it's we go at teams. I think Artell said before and after the game, we've given the most fouls away. I love that. I love how competitive that is. We bully teams. The issue will be, or is, when we come off that, and if we come off that, then it can look a little bit lackluster and insipid. But certainly, I mean, the last 6-7 games, whatever it is, it's, and I think there's a lot in that. I think sides that are competitive. How many sides have bullied us over the years, and now we do it to other teams? I think that's great. So yeah, I don't have an issue at all really with his style of play, if you like. The most important style of play is winning, and we're doing that.
Yeah, I agree. It's from the game yesterday, in terms of myself and my brother were talking a lot about how narrow the game was yesterday, and he brought Stevens off because I didn't think he had his best game, or he didn't impact the game as much as I would have liked. And Drummond was very, very narrow, and it looked to us, we were just saying, if Drummond could just stretch the game a bit more, make a bit more space. I don't know. We don't know whether it was an instruction that they wanted Drummond in and around to maybe try and pick up more second balls and stuff like that, because I thought it was quite direct yesterday, wasn't it? We were playing it a bit more direct than we have been of late. But yeah, Drummond wasn't quite playing as a winger. He was playing more inside, and it was all very, very congested. The ball was sort of up in the air and headers, and it wasn't great to watch. But the goal came from Hawks being out, wide in that wide position. What a ball from Ollie Hammond! What a pass that was! Brilliant, brilliant ball. And there was a few groans when Stevens came off, but I don't think he could have had any complaints, to be honest with you. Like he wasn't running the show. The thing with Stevens is, and I think because my brother was suggesting taking Drummond off, and I said to him, well, you've still got the threat of the pace, and anything can happen. And Drummond's he had a couple of moments yesterday where his second touch was abysmal, a bit like the Tranmere penalty. But that pace just frightens people. It gets players sent off. It gets penalties. So I was in the mind of keeping him on. Stevens came off and Hawks came on, and you've got to give credit to Hawks. Like, he doesn't get, he's not a great deal of football, but what a finish, what a run, and what an impact from the two substitutes, Andy, that came on and really changed the game in that respect.
Yeah, I think that's something that we've not had in previous years, isn't it? Is we've got players on the bench that can come on and affect the game. You think about some of the benches we've had and the shite that we've been bringing on to try and affect a game. We've got players. We
might as well have brought the actual bench on at times.
Exactly. So you bring in players on that have got a right to threaten being picked in the next game, and competition for places will breed consistency of performance. And I think I agree with Stevens. He wasn't as effective yesterday as he has been in some recent games, and that's going to happen, right? You can't be 10 out of 10 every week. And he's definitely got to put on a bit of weight for me and just get a bit stronger. Drummond looks stronger now than he did at the start of the season, and Stevens has got to probably commit the summer to getting in the gym and getting a bit bigger and a bit tougher and what have you. But Hawks, he's been unlucky with injury, but he looked strong and fit when he came on, and as a fabulous pass, fabulous first touch, good second touch. Lovely finish. So to have that off the bench is fantastic. I think the overriding thing that I went away from yesterday, yes, it wasn't a classic. Grimsby are quite a sort of big physical team as well. They're better than Tranmere. They're better than some of the teams we've been playing against and beating more comfortably recently. So it could have gone either way. We could have lost that 1-0, couldn't we? Easily.
Yeah, they're the bar, didn't they?
Could have gone either way. There wasn't an enormous amount in it. Thankfully, we got the win. So the thing that I come down on is we can't possibly do that 5 more times. You can't ride your luck that much, that often, and come out on the right side of it. You'd have to be, you're going to have to, and so you got the likes of Crewe and Chesterfield and Notts County and MK Dons and all those teams upcoming, and it's going to be very difficult, I think, to close the gap on 7th. But listen, like you said, while it's still possible, then it just makes the next set of games exciting, and so long may it continue. But I think it was a good team performance. They didn't give in. They gave their all. Everybody contributed. I thought Mike Fondop was fantastic again yesterday, leading the line. Did everything well.
Sorry, we just have to mention there, Andy, about in relation to the goal, and the referee was quite pedantic yesterday, it seemed, but thankfully the referee
let it go.
Let it go. But he'd let so many other fouls on Fondop go that you just thought he was going to blow, and I think he just thought about it, but he noticed the run of Hawks, didn't he? Yeah. And he left it. So you've got to give credit where it's due. It was a really good piece of refereeing. And benefited us in that moment.
Well, I think, on Mike Fondop, I think the thing that I'm really impressed with about him in the last few weeks is, and I think Kavanagh has helped him. We'll come on to that in a minute. That's a shame, isn't it? He's linking up pretty well with Kavanagh. His flick-ons are going to blue shirts. He's laying the ball off at the right time. He's passing the ball at the right time. He's shooting at the right time. He's making good decisions. So great credit to him and the coaching staff for making him more effective, because I've enjoyed watching Mike Fondop last few weeks. It was a good team performance. Manny Month was immense, wasn't he? How good was Manny Month at the back? Superb.
There were wayward passes, weren't there? There was, I think Daniels yesterday was a bit suspect on the ball. Little things like that. We did ride our luck, like you said. There was a few moments, but on the whole, I thought we did very well. And you're right about Fondop. When he's leading the line in with that aggression and that focus that he had, like he had yesterday and he has in recent weeks, it makes a huge difference.
We're the fire experts, fire safety experts at Pendle New Tech. We train fire marshals, fire safety marshals at Pendle New Tech.
Pendle New Tech have fire experts across the UK covering all your local and national needs. With over 100 years experience in the fire safety industry, you know that you can trust
Pendle New Tech.
Right, enough of that now.
But Chris, the number 10, I don't know what the story is. Andy might fill us in. I've not listened to Mickey Mellon's interview. Presumably nobody knows how serious Kavanagh's injury is anyway at this stage in the game. But what would you do, Chris, with that number 10 position? If Kavanagh, I presume he's going to be out on Tuesday night against Chesterfield. Garner came on to play it. Ollie Hammond has come on and played that position. What would you do on Tuesday, Chris?
I really, I do not want to change that formation at the minute. You're probably looking maybe at Hammond, maybe Hawks, maybe. But yeah, I think the key thing with that is the formation change. I mean, if we just go back a few weeks or a couple of months ago, whenever it was, and Mellon tinkering and going to that back 5, and then we went back to the back 4. We split up the best defence in the league, which was strange to me. Experimented with the 5 and then went back to the 4, and then coincided with us picking up again. So I really now, whatever happens this season, want to try and stick to that and keep it, because I think everyone seems happy in the roles, and it seems to give us a really good balance. So I would be loath to try and change that because of an injury. Again, it depends how long he's out for. If you're saying can Garner come in with Fondop maybe, there's a few options, but I think it will all depend on how long he's out for as to what we do there. But the biggest thing for me is don't change the formation.
I think there's another option. I think you could play Hawks out on that left-hand side. you could put Stevens in as a number 10 alongside alongside Fondop as well. I think Hammond does really well in that role. What Hammond does is he gets ahead of the striker. He makes really good runs. So I think there's options. Going back to the point that Andy made before about strength in depth, and I think like we're coming to that point in the season now where people have recovered from injuries. Obviously, unfortunately, you do still pick up others, and there are the odd long-term ones like Tom Conlon and Michael Mellon that, you know, we're not going to get the benefits of those players again this season. But we seem to just be at that point now where there is a lot more players fit and available, and it just makes such a huge difference. We've spoke about it, like that you need a squad of players if you're gonna get out of this division or any division. You know, you can't just rely on, you know, like back in the day, like 13 or 14 players to get you through the whole season, sort of thing. So I think there are options, but I agree wholeheartedly. I presume you do as well, Andy. That 4-4-2, it's been working. We do have the players that can fit in and played.
It's 4-2-3-1 for me.
3-1.
I know it's fluid. but it's 4-2-3-1 for me. That's really how it sets up. And it does move a bit. Yeah, Hammond or Stevens could play the 10. You could even bring Taylor in, couldn't you? The Villa lad who's a box of tricks. But I think what you want is, I agree with you. You want somebody with legs, I think, who will stretch the game, and that's what Kavanagh does. He's really busy. He makes runs. He spins off defenders. He gets in behind, and then he drops deep. You want someone with a better nous, so and who will move a lot, because that allows Fondop then really to remain relatively central in the number 9 position and do his job. You don't really want to ask Mike Fondop to be chasing lost causes. Let someone else do that and let him stay central. So someone behind him who can do that. Yeah. You've got to fancy Chesterfield are one of only 4 teams in the league who've lost less than us. And they have lost 3 times at home, mind, this season. But they're not good. They're going to be really difficult. So I would be probably prepared to put an extra midfielder in. So I might go with Hammond. Probably just so you've got some more legs, so he can drop deep and be more legs in the middle, just because I expect it to be a tough game.
I mean, Chesterfield's form is the same as Grimsby's form was going into the game with Latics. 1-2, lost 2, drawn 1 of the last 5. So, you know, we, like I said before, we are the team in form in this division, and often, you know, we've seen it many times at Boundary Park over the years where you play a team that's in form, and they might not necessarily deserve the win but they get the goal. There's just something about being in form and getting the results and confidence, and, you know, having confidence in your back line. Because like yesterday, I said to my brother at one point, I said, 1 goal is going to win this today. You could just see it was going to be that kind of game. And I'd kind of given up just before the goal. I kind of got to around 75 minutes yesterday, and I was like, I think this is going to be a draw. I don't think we're going to. I was always hoping for that moment of quality. That's what I was hoping we was going to get, but it was looking like it might be a draw. But we've got such a great mentality at the back. You know, it's not just at the back; it's the whole team defends. You know, you can't keep all those clean sheets without the whole team grafting for 90 minutes. But that you only need a goal, don't you? You're confident that you're going to keep a clean sheet, and it's a mentality, Chris, now at the club and within the team, that just you can see us going to somewhere like Chesterfield and just grinding out and nicking it the same way that we nicked it yesterday, or a bit like the time we nicked it. Was it Dervan Green who scored that goal?
Dervan Green, yeah.
1-0, in that 1-0, you know, a similar kind of performance might be required, and a similar, you know, I'd love a similar outcome to it. But I mean, Mellon's always said, Chris, that he wants a team that represents Oldham well. Do you think you can say now that he's done that? Obviously, we can improve on it. We can bring in, you know, better players and all that. But do you think that the team now kind of reflects what Mellon set out to achieve at the beginning?
I do, because I think particularly that, and I go back to what we said earlier, in that even when we lose, and I think this is really important, even when we lose, we're still, and I know we've had a couple of games where it has been poor, but there's still a competitive, they still run, and I know there's the old adage about Oldham fans love runners, but that means that, you know, they're putting it in, they're putting a shift in, you know, the trying, and I really like that about us. And I know those are really simple things, but the effort, the desire, the competitiveness, and I think that is what is, when you've got a solid base. And just to go back to the team at the minute, I think that's helping with Woods and Peck, because you're not asking them to get up and down. They can sit, they can dictate play, then you can have your faster players in front of them. So I think he's got us set up really well at the minute. But yeah, in terms of representing us and the football club, it's that stands out for me the most, in that we're competitive, we're in games. I go back to what I said earlier about bullying teams. And he talks about that a lot. He talks about that a lot in his interviews about, I want a side that runs and that competes. And they do definitely play in his mould and what he expects from them. And the minimum, how many times do fans say the minimum that you expect from your team is to run, to compete, to battle. And so, yeah, I have no issue with that. The only thing will be, and it will always be with Mellon's type of football, is that if you're not winning, then I understand why people will go, oh, it's a tough watch, because it can be a tough watch. But on the whole, and you guys talk about this a lot, if you look at his remit from when he was first brought in, right, well, can you get us up, and then can you consolidate us? And that's inside 3 years. Well, he's done that. And, you know, it might not be pretty at times. It might be a tough watch at times. But I do agree with what you boys say a lot, is that in the bigger picture, in the remit of this first contract, what more really could he have done with, in particular, when you look at what we can afford and the budget?
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously we see it on Twitter and things like that. The sliding scale of sack him to offer him a new deal, often within the same people. But he's look, we think he's done a cracking job so far. You can't fault him. So let's listen to the main man himself after the win against Grimsby today. Here's Mickey Mellon chatting to Alan at the club.
Mickey, how good a win was that?
Oh, it's a huge win, in an environment where we obviously know that we're trying to keep the season alive. So we needed to win. It was as straightforward as that, and we did all the things necessary in order to win a game at this stage of the season. We've been through this. Well, I've certainly been through this many times before, and recognise an awful lot about what the games are like at this stage of the season. And wasn't surprised, and delighted to see Hawksy score the winner in the end.
There wasn't much in it, certainly in the first half. What changed as the match went on to allow us to win?
I thought territorially we were a better team first half. I thought they couldn't go out there in half, and that's, I'm always going to be honest. We didn't create enough. We need to be better in the final third at certain moments, but definitely territorially and defensively we were comfortably in top without creating enough for many chances. Then second half of the game obviously became a wee bit, as it does, a wee bit stretched. A lot of free kicks, you have to defend the edge of your box, a lot of counter-attacks for both teams from these sort of situations, and we managed to get the moment of quality to go and win a valuable 3 points.
2 substitutes combining for the goal?
Yeah, I'm really pleased for them. I've said all along, Al, and I say to them all the time, we say, look, the first team that's going to start the game, they're going to go and start the game. But when you are all doing what you are doing, the winner of the game are the guys that could be the most important are among you guys, the guys on the bench. And that's proved to be right again. They've come on to give us legs, energy, and that bit of quality to go and win an important game. And another clean sheet, which is also has to be spoken about as well, because they're things that we aim for.
Really nice finish from Josh, wasn't it?
It was a great finish and a brilliant pass from Ollie, a really well weighted pass to right into Josh's path and a couple of good touches, and then he's gone and saved the deal. So really pleased for him.
Obviously, Callum had to go off in the first half. How's he?
Yeah, he's got a sore ankle. He's limping around. We obviously won't know until probably 24 hours, but we can have a look at it. But we'll find out more about that probably tomorrow.
Sets up Tuesday nicely.
It does. I want you to keep saying, I want to keep the season alive and keep going. There's obviously a lot of work still to be done, but certainly we made a step forward today in that work that needs to be done. Tuesday night we'll take a big fall on across to Chesterfield, and it'll be a great atmosphere. We've got to make sure that we go and take part in it and do all the things that's necessary again in order to go and play against a good Chesterfield team that we probably should have beaten here. But we know that they've got a lot of qualities, and we'll need to turn up the best version of ourselves to go over there and try and get something.
Well done today.
Thanks, Al.
There he is, Mickey Mellon, happy with the outcome, keeping the season alive, keeping the dream alive. At this stage of the season, Andy, he's been here a lot. The types of games that you're going to expect at this stage in the season. I was just having a quick look then while I was listening to Mickey. There was only Harrogate from down the bottom of the table who didn't pick up points yesterday. We are entering that stage of the season where it's unpredictable, isn't it? In terms of you've got Harrogate at home next week. You probably suspect you beat them, but we've got Newport as well. You've got teams down the bottom like Barrow. Teams that are struggling pick up points. We saw when we were in the playoffs last season in the National League how everybody seemed to want to throw it away, but nobody caught up. So it's that stage in the season, Andy, where things can start getting, in an already unpredictable league, a little bit even more unpredictable.
Yeah, we're kind of touching upon the private message you and I shared in jest with each other the other day, where you were saying it's alive, and I was saying it wasn't. And your argument was you're not taking into account that other teams will drop points, and of course they will. But we were 7 points off the playoffs before yesterday's game. We're still 7 points off the playoffs after yesterday's game, and we picked up 3 points in the process. And that's what I mean about, on average, we've been gaining a point whilst we've been on this winning run. So we're going to need to win, on 5 on the spin from here, having won 5 of the last 6. It's a really tall ask, especially with the teams that are coming up against. I just can't see us doing it. But I'm enjoying the fact that it's still possible, because it makes the games. I was really looking forward to watching the game yesterday. I was excited about it because there's something to play for. And so Mickey Mellon deserves a lot of credit. And actually, of all the people you could have in the manager's dugout for this type of position, he's exactly the man you want. He's done it so many times before, hasn't he? Now, I saw one of the Tranmere fans tweet last week after the game saying what's happening to us reminded him of what happened to Tranmere when they went back-to-back. They were mid-table and shot up the league towards the sort of springtime of the season. So he's done it before, and he can do it again. And it'll be great if we can keep this run going. We don't need to win at Chesterfield, but it'd be bloody handy if we did.
Well, we can't afford to lose, can we? We can't afford to get beat. That's the thing. We do have those games in hand against Barrow and Notts County, which are obviously going to be tricky in their own way. So we can't afford to lose to Chesterfield. And like Mellon said, Garner missed a penalty in the last minute, didn't he, against Chesterfield?
Well, Chesterfield won at Notts County. Chesterfield won at Notts County yesterday, but Notts County had a player sent off. Yeah, so it wasn't 11 v 11. So you never know. We could do it. We could do it. I'm not saying it definitely can't be done, but I just fancy that it will be tricky. I'll tell you what I did notice this week. Kieran Maguire was at it again. It was this chat about Sheffield Wednesday having a points deduction in League One next season. That'd be handy if you were in it. But he was talking about them having a wage cap, and he tweeted some of the wages in League One in the 23-24 season, just to give you an idea. Derby, 17 million wages. Reading, 14. Wigan, 11. Barnsley, 11. Oxford, 11. Charlton, 10. Bolton, 10. Blackpool, 9.5. Ours is about 2.5. And there was also a tweet where someone had said, well, 10 years ago, which is, not long really, about the same sort of time that we were in League One, there was something like only 3 or 4 clubs that had wages over 4 million quid. Now, pretty much 3/4 of the division has over 4 million quid.
Yeah.
And you realise that in the time that's elapsed, what's happened. It's obviously all the sustainability issues come with it, but I think it'd be amazing if we could get into the playoffs and get into League One. But I'm not bothered if we don't, in a way, because I think another year of getting, trying to increase the income to the club, bolster the squad so that when we get into League One, we can survive in there and then try and reset again. I think when Mickey Mellon took Tranmere up back to back, they came straight back down again because it was a bit early. And you could see that happening to a team like us who not long ago were losing at home to Maidenhead. So, yeah, that's how I look at it.
The thing is, Chris, it's about being up. It's about the momentum, for me, and I think that's the thing with most fans. I think it's finishing the season well. There was a lot of people saying, "Oh, Mickey Mellon can't manage in the second half of the season because, well, he had his first season was a dodgy second half of the season. His second season he actually got us promoted, so that didn't really." Although
kind of renders it moot when you get promoted at the end, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And then this season, obviously, that's turned out to be nonsense because we've actually picked up loads of points in the second half of the season. We've only lost 3 games in 16 games or something like that. So the momentum is building, and it already gives you that excited feeling about next season, doesn't it, Chris? Which again we've just not had for such a long time.
I think there's 2 different points of this, and I'm in more Andy's camp here. I think there's 2 about, am I excited next season to keep building the club? Are we in good hands? Am I happy for Mellon to stay? Yes, we couldn't ask for better owners. But I think he makes a really salient point about League One and about where we've come from. I go back to what you said to the interview with the family last year, that the season before last we lost 3.5 million. I think Andy said on a pod recently that the accounts are out soon. I would imagine that we've lost a similar amount last season, given the squad size and the calibre of player that we had in the National League. I would imagine it's nailed on that we've lost money this season to be mid-table. So when I look at next season, in the bigger picture, it's all healthy, it's all there's no problem. I do temper expectation, or my own expectation, and I tend to be a bit more realistic with, I'm probably not as confident perhaps as for a push next season, for 2 reasons. One, can we afford it, and can the owners do any more than they've all done? I think they've been absolutely phenomenal in terms of what they've put into the club, so we can't expect any more from that, and nor would I want them to over push. And the big one for me, to sort of dovetail with that, is I still think the recruitment is a mixed bag. And I think if you're going to be a 2.5-3 million budget team and you're trying to compete in that top 6, top 7, I think in the summer our recruitment has to be bang on, so that we can keep building and we can keep becoming more than the sum of our parts. Because if we didn't win another game this season, I still think it's been a great season. We'll have finished mid-table, and you can't ask any more from the club. But if we were being greedy and we said, well, where have we struggled this season? It's because we're not clinical. And how many games have we missed a chance where it was a 0-0 or a game like yesterday? And if we were going to expect more this season, it's because we're not clinical. Well, why aren't we clinical? Well, we've got Harrott and Waters, who we signed, who were quickly deemed not good enough. Then we signed Quigley, who amazingly, brilliantly, we got money for. But we already had Mikey. Mikey's upturning fortune in form, coincides with Quigley leaving. Maybe that's, he's the main man again, and he feels like he's trusted again. I don't know. But if we're and Mellon has said repeatedly, we're not clinical enough. And that in part is down to recruitment. Now there's an evolvingness, if that's even a word, with that, and I totally get that about, it was an absolute shit show when they took over. There's a lot of spend, there's a lot of high turnover of players. But I think if we're going to maximise 2.5 or 3 million, whatever it is, I think we've got to be sharper next season in the recruitment, because there's no doubt, and Mellon's proved it time and again, when his first 11 are fit, he gets results. But we've got to have, that in terms of next season would be my only question mark to us really pushing on and maybe getting promotion is, can the recruitment for the money and for the budget be sharper?
I think the difference is the foundation that you're building on. So, we've literally had to replace the entire squad from when we were in the National League, and from when we got relegated from League Two. The budget has had to go a long way to get a half decent side, and we've seen from League Two this season that you don't have to be brilliant. You don't have to be not like, playing the best football and stringing 10 plus passes together to be top of the league. You just have to be consistent. And I think that mentality is as much about what makes consistency. Obviously having a way of playing, but having the characters, having the consistency. Yeah, you need a bit of quality to deliver it. But I think the foundations are there. I think the foundations are well in place now. And I think you're right. I think we do need to recruit cleverly next season, but we don't have to be recruiting all over the park. We can we can channel our budget into what's needed more than we've been able to do in the past.
100%. And goal scorers win your games. So for me, if you look at our squad at the minute, you're absolutely offering Manny a new deal. That maybe Hudson will go and that will out with the coffers. You're absolutely right. There is a really solid base there to build on next season. I think it's primarily in, can we be, and I think Cav looks a really good signing. And again, profile of signing, age, resale value, he can grow with us. I really like that. And it's that type of signing where, can we afford, and is there many anywhere, a 20-goal season, man? No, but can we get another couple like Cav who can get us that 10, 12 that can get us over the line in tight games? Because as we've seen this season, the difference between say 13th and 7th at the end of the season might be 10 points. Those 10 points are in the 6, 7, 8 games over the course of a season where you haven't taken your chances, where you've been in the game, you've been competitive, you've done really well, but you've just missed that one chance you had. And that is the difference a lot of the time over the season between 13th and 7th.
I mean, a fit Jack Stevens all season is going to get you 10 plus goals. There's no doubt about that. He's going to create. 100%. He's going to create goals. Hawks, when he's fit and on it, he can finish. He's very composed in front of goal. So having goals from around the squad, it is really, really important. So I think it's a lot. Yeah, I think we're in a position now to start really bolstering this squad, and we have the foundation to build on. So next season, let's hope we just get the right players in, and I think that we'll be contenders next season. I think the bookies will probably think so too if we make the right signings.
The Boundary Park Alert System is sponsored by Pendle New Tech, a family-run Lancashire business you can rely on for everything fire safety related, including supply and installation, maintenance, testing, certification, alarms, risk assessments, like I said, anything fire safety related. But what do I know? Visit pendle-nu-tech.com and they'll sort you right out. Check the show notes for more information.
I saw an interview with Matthew Benham this week, the Brentford owner, talking about how they place value on footballers who get in positions. So he was basically saying, if we see a footballer who misses 3 1-on-1s in a game, some people would say, God, he's rubbish, him, can't finish his dinner. And Matthew Benham was like, we'll look at him and go, yeah, he's decent. Because he's got in position 3 times in a game, as opposed to not being. And he was just giving a little snippet of the sort of, it's all about numbers and stats modelling and what have you that gives them these insights. And then obviously what they try and do is coach them to be better. Now, it's just a little snippet, but we've got all of those stats products, or many of those stats products, and we've got academics, some UK-based academics that are Latics fans, but also I know we've got Syracuse University doing stuff for us for free from America. So there's a lot of time and investment in the background to that I think can be further honed and improved. Now, Terry McPhillips has been head of recruitment for quite some while, which is one of Mellon's sort of cohort of connections within the industry, and has. I think Chris is right. You could say has had a mixed bag at times with some of the recruitment. And I never thought Billy Waters was a good signing. I didn't think Joe Quigley was a good signing. So we've made mistakes. You're never going to get everyone right. But I think that if we're going to grow on the basis of the fact that we cannot compete with today's League One wages any longer, we're going to have to be a bit clever and cuter. So I agree with Chris. And I think that there will be some tweaks and changes in the backroom setup over the course of the coming months and years to try to find ways of improving upon that. There was one of the defenders for Grimsby yesterday looked pretty good. The number 2, he's called, believe it or not, Maldini Kakuri. he is named after Maldini. He came through Arsenal's academy, and Grimsby picked him up after a couple of loan spells at places like Morecambe. So it's whatever, it's that sort of recruitment, isn't it? He's picking those players up quite young. He's only 20, that number 2 for, he looked a bit bigger than that to me on the telly, but, it's trying to pick those players up and then sell them on, because that's how you'll increase your revenue to be able to spend more on wages effectively. So hopefully we'll see that over the coming years. And not, I think Mickey Mellon's done a pretty good job with his backroom team, but he's going to need help if he's going to get this club further up the pyramid with the resources that we have.
But what you're talking about there is, in Brentford, it's a long-term vision, isn't it? It's a boardroom decision. It's above the manager's head. This is the trajectory of Brentford. You can't argue that it's worked. Unbelievable. So yeah, absolutely. Do we want something that offers us that kind of edge and helps? Ultimately, it's all about helping the manager. The manager has, to decide who to pick. You've got to be laying out as many quality options as possible in front of the manager, based on the things that you're saying there, and then let the manager make the decisions, because ultimately it's the manager that ends up paying the price. So for success or not, whether they stay or go, but the club as a whole has to find a model that helps it grow within its means. And we don't want to emulate copy what's happened to us in the past, or is happening again to other clubs. Look at Sheffield Wednesday. It's so sad for such a famous club, such a big club. We've got to do things differently going forward, haven't we? We've got to be smarter, and ultimately we are much more confident in the people that are in control of the club now to make those things happen. But yeah, like you said, like Chris, League One forever, it's changed. The division has changed a lot, hasn't it, since we were last in there? And you look up now and you look at some of the teams, and look at some of the teams that are coming down, Sheffield Wednesday, Leicester, possibly West Brom, are in the bottom 3. You're looking at that, and the teams that have been down in recent years, Portsmouth, Ipswich, it's big clubs, and all that just makes it more and more difficult every time to get out of the division.
Even our contemporaries, Blackpool, Barnsley, 9-10 million. It's like
that's just on wages.
It's just it's 3 times what we're spending it. It's not even like we're not saying, if we could generate another 500,000, we could really compete. It's millions and millions and millions. It's like where and it's not we've seen it with Bromley this year. You can be more than some of your parts, but you need a lot to go for. You need luck with injuries, as we've seen with Stevens and Hawks this season. Really good players on the day, and if they were fit, maybe would have scored more. Your recruitment needs to be bang on. You can be that club, absolutely you can be, but you just have to be laser focused. And I think in today's football world, and the fact that we can't keep asking the family just to keep ploughing more and more money in, and we want to try and be as close to break even as possible, we've just got to be realistic for that. The key will be there then, that we talk about Mellon's next contract. You can't what you said, from his first contract, he can't have done any more. So it would be ludicrous to say, well, don't offer him a new deal. But in that new deal, the remit of that new deal is very different to his first deal. So in that new deal, are we willing to build with him for a couple of years for the reasons that we're saying that, is he a short term get you going, or is he a builder? Now that will be the question over the next couple of years. Are we as a fan base willing to recognise the money involved, what we can and can't afford, and let it keep evolving for a couple of years, and we pick up another couple of players, and then he gets sold, and more money comes in, and we build it like that, rather than, well, we just want up next season.
Well, also, is Mickey Mellon willing to build with the board? So if the board say we want to structure it in this way so that we can compete with teams that have more resources, you therefore, Mickey, have to be prepared to follow some control over certain things so we can do that, and he's got to agree to that as well. So it has to be an agreement. But I'd love him to be here. I'd love him to do 12 years, because it would mean that everyone's working together. I just feel like we're in good hands, and so that's great. Yeah. Did you wouldn't have done Latics Mine when you first came on, Chris, would you? Because I don't think we did it then.
No.
How'd you get on normally?
I think my top score is about 2.
Oh, all right. Well, shall we give it a go?
Latics Mind is sponsored by Oldham Athletic Supporters Foundation, investing in the fans, the club and the community. Join today at oasf.co.uk for just £12 a year. OASF, because we're stronger together.
How many different players have taken a penalty for Latics this season?
3.
Wrong. It's 6. Which recent iconic match saw this scoring pattern? 1-0, 2-0, 3-0, 3-1, 3-2.
United.
No, it was Dorking Wanderers in the Rothwell's first home game. In which year were Latics originally elected to the Football League?
(1901).
1907. Only 3 Latics players have scored over 100 goals for the club. Roger Palmer and Andy Ritchie. 2. Who's the third?
Roger Wilde.
Eric Gemmell. How many full-time managers did Latics have in the 1990s?
3.
4. Which 2 grounds have Latics played at twice this season?
Pass.
Who did Kane Drummond score his first Latics League goal against?
Chesterfield.
Correct. Which Latics striker was nicknamed King of all Geordies?
No idea.
Pass. Name one of the teams relegated alongside Latics from the Premier League in 1994.
Palace.
No, Swindon or Sheffield United. Palace went down the year before when we stayed up.
Oh.
You got one, Chris. You didn't get a duck. You got one. Right? That's not bad.
I'll take it.
You hit the post on a couple, didn't you?
Yeah.
Let's do 6 penalty takers. Didn't realise it was that many, did you?
I know. I was counting up while you were talking. I got to 4 before you gave the answer.
Well, Hannon scored at Cheltenham. Mellon took one.
Oh, yeah.
Garner missed one. Kavanagh missed one. Fondop missed one. And then Stephen scored one.
yeah.
Right, 2 passes. Which 2 grounds have Latics played at twice this season, Matt?
Well, we played twice at Stadium MK because I went to both of those. And
you went to the other one twice as well, I think.
Did I? This season, probably. Accrington Stanley.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I imagine you won't get this. Which Latics striker was nicknamed the King of all Geordies?
I don't know. So I don't remember Kevin Keegan. He's not a Geordie, is he? But the Geordies love him. Alan Shearer never played for us. I don't know.
Yeah, well, he played for us in the 1970s. It's Vic Hallam.
Vic Hallam. Yeah. No,
I'm glad it was him and not the guy that we had off Geordie Shore a few seasons back.
Oh yeah. Oh God. Yeah.
Dark times.
Yeah, thanks for playing along, Chris. That's the main thing. Everyone else got to play along at home. I hope you brought your personal best if you did. But yeah, some tricky ones in there. I think wasn't the easiest week for questions. I don't think, Chris. That's the luck of the draw.
I'll take my one and run.
Yeah. I just thinking a little bit while you were talking before, and obviously you're League One forever. You know, I think we've spoke a lot about League One. That is obviously where we aim to be next. And I was thinking about the attendance yesterday, and the attendance, I mean, really, you know, you were talking about finances and how much money you can put into the club and where that money comes from. The cost, you know, of tickets has risen a lot over the years. You can't expect the owners to keep putting it in. You can't charge fans too much money for League One football as well. And the attendance yesterday would do well to get that kind of attendance week in, week out in League One. You know, it would be a very, very good, very, very credible regular weekly attendance for us. Obviously, the away teams bring a few more fans. So, you know, maybe 7,000 season ticket holders at Latics, something like that. That would be very respectable in League One. So Andy's being summoned. His family have appeared through the glass there. So he's gone. Thanks, Andy. You can't hear anymore, Chris? That's a bit weird. Not sure why that is. Andy's left the chat, and it's caused Chris to not be able to hear anymore, and I've got no idea why. So I think that was a great way to end the show. I'll just say thanks to Chris for joining us. Thanks for listening, everyone. We'll see you for the phone-in after the Chesterfield game on Thursday, and let's hope we've got another reason to be cheerful.
Hey Dave, did you know that listeners can now buy us a coffee or any other kind of hot beverage? What's your favourite hot beverage, Dave?
A macchiato.
And how do you like your macchiato?
Black with lots of milk. Oh.
No cream?
No.
Well, if you want to buy Dave a
macchiato,
then go to buymeacoffee.com/We Are Oldham. I'll just have a Nescafe.
Thank you, listeners.